Good afternoon, guys. How's everyone doing this Wednesday afternoon? Here in Littlehampton, the sun is currently out. It's a little bit nippy outside, but the sun's out and it's quite a nice day, not a bad day. Just giving this little telltale signs of what we've got to come this summer, and to be honest with you, I cannot wait for the summer. I was born in July. My star signs are Cancer, which represents a crab. So yeah, I'm a summer person. In the winter, I use the winter. First of all, let me just welcome you to my channel, guys. Welcome to Joey Barnett TV, where I like to upload different content. And before I go ahead with anything, I must give out a big, massive shout out to one of my very good followers, and his name is Pablo Escobar. Now, what a nice chap. One of my followers always comments underneath my videos, always gives positive feedback, and that's what inspires me to push more content and do more uploads. So yeah, very, very nice guy. Always leaves positive comments, as I said, and he kindly offered to do me a banner. Now, it started off with just my YouTube banner, so he sent me one of them by surprise, to be totally honest with you. He asked, we connected on another platform called Instagram, where you can send each other bits and pieces a little bit more, and yeah, he sent me that banner out of surprise, and I could not believe it. I put that onto my Facebook page, and also uploaded it to my YouTube, my homepage. So thank you very much indeed, Pablo. Hope you have a great day, and yeah, we need more people like us about, to be honest with you. And this leads on to this subject. What you put in life is what you get out of life. So basically, if you're a horrible person in life, you do horrible things in life, you're going to get that back in abundance. If you're a nice person, you get nice things back. And I'm not saying I've always been a nice person. My life changed in 2010 when I decided to knock it on the head and start living my life as a reformed person. And here I am today, all these years later. I've lost count now. Is it 13 years, 2010, Sam? Yeah. 13 years later, here I am today with my own YouTube channel, doing inspiring stuff, inspiring people, and with my followers, and writing books. I've written a book. We've been in newspapers, me and my missus, for helping the homeless, which we're going to continue to do very shortly. It all stopped because of COVID, but that's another video. But yeah, we've been in newspapers. Different people has picked me up and offered me a door. And these things wasn't available to me years ago when I wasn't rolling right. Doors were getting closed on me. People were outing me. People were swerving me. But nowadays in life, doors are opening for me. People welcome me with warm arms, and even to those that don't know me, they see me for the first time, because the first thing you see on me is this big tattoo on the side of my face and the neck. And we live in a type of world where we get stereotyped. It is slowly getting better in life, I must admit, and people are starting to come around a little bit more to facial tattoos and to tattoos, because the reason for that is because a lot of the younger generation are having them now, and they're becoming normal and they're becoming fashionable. But years ago, when I had my tattoos, it stood out, and it represented trouble years ago, tattoos. Do you remember the swallows on the hands and swallows on the neck? For those that don't know what they mean, most tattoos have a meaning to them, or they mean something to you personally. For instance, you might have lost a loved one, and you might want a love heart on your arm with a cross going through it. Rest in peace with whoever's passed away. So they do represent different things. And the swallow on your hand, going back in my days of the 70s and the 80s, meant you were good with your right hand. You're right-handed. So in other words, you could throw a punch. That's actually what it meant. years ago, before things started to change, like with the new gen. Now they're having it. Now they're having swallows on their hands just for fashion. But when I had mine, that's what it represented, and also vice versa for the neck. When you've got a tat, when you had a tat on your neck, it normally meant you was good with your head. You was headbutting, or it could have meant you've done a bit of bird. The tattoo on the side of the cheek. Which cheek is it now? Let me see. Yeah, the left cheek. You see this dot here? For those that don't know it, the reason why I've got glasses on, guys, and I do wear glasses, is because I read quite a lot of the comments, and I've also got something written down which I've been writing down for the last hour or something. Something what I'm going to be mentioning at the end of this video, guys. So yeah, that's the reason why I wear glasses, not to smother my face up, not to hide my face. Here's my head, here's my face. You can't miss it. I like wearing caps because I'm receding, as you can see. That's been like that since I was in my early 20s. It's never ever gone back no further than that. So it's not like I'm going to go bald. But when I do grow hair, it just grows a little tufty bit on the front. And I look a little bit like the Phil Collins look-alike type of thing. So I get the clippers out and I take it down to 0.5. I've got which I've done for years and years and years. So yeah, I like wearing caps. Years ago I didn't wear caps, and I looked at people what wore caps. A lot of it represented football back in the day, wearing caps. I don't know if a lot of my followers remember football violence and arranged fights and bits and pieces like that. Yeah, I was Millwall back in the day. You can guess that, can't you? And yeah, I did used to go over to Millwall quite a lot, down the old Kent Road at the old Den, the old Lions, and yeah, it was good days. But yeah, so the tattoo. Let's get back to the story, because I do fall off the story a little bit. The tattoo on there is a Borstal dot. So basically, when you went into Borstal, as you went through and got onto the wing, one of the boys on the wing would do the tattoo on the side of your face, and that's like a stamp of approval to say that you've been in Borstal. So if you ever see anyone with a dot on the side of their face like that, other than a beauty spot, it'd be a Borstal dot. And that stems back from the 70s and the 80s. A lot of youngsters don't have them because they don't know. I should think they probably don't know what they mean. I don't know. I've seen teardrops out in the USA and places like that. You know what a teardrop means. I'm not going to mention it because I don't want to get a strike on my channel. Definitely not. But a teardrop means you've committed a very serious offence. And basically you're crying forever. So that's a teardrop rolling down your face, by the way. But people have them for fashion now. So yeah, tattoos are getting more accepted nowadays. And I'm glad for that. I'm really glad for that. So guys, now we are 8 minutes into the video. I've written a few bits down on a bit of paper. It's all come from straight out of my head, but as it comes out of my head, I've written it down. So it's not copied off the computer or the internet or nothing like that. And you'll hear as I'm reading it that the words have come from me. So we're going to be talking about the next subject. I'm going to talk about, because we've covered quite a lot already. I need a drink actually. We've covered quite a lot already. Thank you very much. My missus is going to kindly make me a drink. You see, it's lovely, isn't it? Ain't it nice? Isn't it nice? And yes, I'll sometimes make my missus tea in bed, breakfast in bed. We could actually talk about relationships, but I'm going to make that a separate video altogether. But I do definitely want to cover that subject about relationships. What is healthy in relationships, what isn't healthy. Thanks, babe, I love you. And you know what keeps the spark going for years and years and years, you know, because when you first meet each other, you're like in a honeymoon stage, But 10 years later, 15 years later, 20 years later, however how long you've been with your partner, that spark seems to die out. And my spark and my missus's, our spark has never died out, and there's a reason for that. So I'm not going to let you know what that is at the minute, and it's nothing to do with what you think. SEX, nothing whatsoever. It's totally the opposite to that, actually. So, got a bit of a cough. There's quite a lot of infections flying about, and every other person you talk to or see is coughing. It's really weird. It's not COVID. It's not the Omicron or whatever you call it. It's I've tested. My missus has tested. It's just this cough that lingers, and it just don't seem to ever go away. And I do get a little bit short of breath. Now, there's a reason for that too, which I'm not going to mention too much on here because I don't want to panic people. But I've basically got a lung infection, and I've had that lung infection for a good part of probably 15 or 16 months. I was going to the hospital, and the ball was rolling. COVID come in, and so yeah, it stopped there. But I do get a little bit short of breath. I think that might be down to smoking and all. Motocross MX is very, 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 you need to be fit to ride a motocross bike or an enduro bike. Motocross bikes, they're short bursts. Enduro bikes, I'm going to go into it a little bit now, so I'm going to read out what I've got written down. And what I've written down, enduro bikes, the difference between enduro bikes and motocross bikes. Enduro bikes have a wide ratio gearbox and a heavier flywheel for smoother riding and more traction. Enduro bikes are set up different than motocross bikes. Got a bit of an itchy leg. The heavier flywheel makes the bike plant to the ground better than motocross bikes. So you get more traction basically on an enduro bike than what you do with a motocross bike. And that's mainly because of with enduro bikes, it's more slow, technical routes, stumps, trees, and different obstacles what you've got to climb over. So that's why it's got a heavier flywheel. You need to it plants to the ground better, and you get more traction on an enduro bike than you do a motocross bike. You wouldn't think so, but that's a fact. Enduro bikes are really better for amateur riders because obviously it's slower riding. You can take your time, you can slow the pace down, you can ride enduro bikes through low gears without the bike spitting and coughing and wanting to sound like it wants to go a lot faster and wanting to sound like it wants to pin it. So there is quite a few two-strokes enduro bikes what have got power bands, but in low gears they don't sound like they want to go into the power band. So it's where the gear ratio is set up different, the flywheel is different, everything is completely different on it. Enduro is a more relaxed sport than motocross, but for me, I prefer motocross. That's because it's more intense. It's more, it tests me a little bit more. So I prefer motocross tracks than enduro tracks. I'm just reading what I've put down. Enduro bikes have softer suspension, making more comfy riding than motocross bikes. The heavier flywheel of an enduro bike gives you more traction than motocross bikes. Enduro bikes are much heavier than motocross bikes. MX bikes are faster at accelerating, and they're faster probably up to about high gears, and they're faster than enduro bikes. But top end enduro bikes will probably beat a motocross bike, but it's not about it's not about top end on a motocross bike. It's all about the low end, and it's all about the higher revs. It's just different horses for different courses, and some people into motocross tracks and some people are into enduro tracks. You can. That's all I want to say on this bit of paper. I think motocross bikes have a stronger engine built for aggressive riding. MX bikes can be ridden on enduro courses, but the suspension is much harder, so it will tire you out quicker than riding enduro bikes. Did you hear that? What I just wrote down. So basically, you can ride a motocross bike on an enduro track, but where they're set up different, you know you're going to tire out a lot quicker on a motocross track. Basically trying to keep it up, trying to hold it up, trying to jump up these obstacles and down these obstacles and things like that, because enduro bikes are good for that. As I said to you, the traction is in the back wheel, and enduro bikes plant and they dig in to the ground. Very, very good for yeah, even wet riding. Riding tips I've got written down. Motocross tracks, always try, right, this is what I wrote down this morning. With a motocross track, always try and walk the track. This is to get to know of any hazards, also the heights and landings of the tabletops. This also gives you an insight of the technical parts of the track. Don't ever overthink things, as this can take away the fun of the sport. If you're concerned about having an accident, you should not be riding. Make sure to hit the jumps in the right gear and also pin the throttle in mid-air, as this makes you carry momentum and carries you through the air further. It is also much better for landing when you're on the throttle. A nice smooth landing too. This is to control your bike better. Squeeze the shrouds with your knees. Basically, when I'm riding my motocross bike, probably 95% of the time, I'm actually standing up. I'm standing on the balls of my feet and my knees are squeezed into the shrouds of the tank. And if you see a lot of motocross riders, you know, on different champ professionals, you don't really see them turning the handlebars much. In a sense, what you see is you see them leaning the bike with their knees, controlling the bike with their knees. That's to get them around the corners. That's to keep them up, basically. Another tip for motocross or enduro is this. When you come across or go into a technical rut, now you've got all different types of ruts. You've got rutted corners, you've got cross ruts, you've got wide ruts, long ruts, deep ruts, shallow ruts. They're all ruts. And what you've got to do is when you see these ruts, instead of like panicking and worrying if you're going to get through this rut, you've got to stand up or sit down, whatever you're comfortable in. But don't ever look at your front wheel or your front fender when you're going through a rut. And the reason for this is because for some reason you lose momentum, and before you know it, your front wheel pops out of the rut, your back wheel stays in the rut, and you're gone. You're off the bike. And that, you know, I learned a very hard lesson. It took me a good few months to learn that, and to get the confidence to hit these ruts the right way. How you've got to hit them is you've got to look at the rut, yeah. You've got to look at where you're going ahead of you and just power through that rut. 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, that momentum will get you through that rut. Definitely. A lot of pro riders actually prefer riding motocross tracks with deep ruts. And it's not rocket science. It's like a railway line. If you're in that rut, you can't really come, that's your line. You've picked your line. And you can't really fall out of that rut if you've got the control of your bike with your knees. But yeah, never ever look over at your front fender on any part of the track, because I've done that the first few times I went out, looked over and panicked and thought, oh, I wonder if my front wheel's in the rut. Am I in the rut? You'll know when you're in the rut because you're going to look ahead of you, you're going to hit the rut, and you're going to look straight ahead. Look to where you're going. When it's the same as when you're driving a car, for instance. Say you're driving a car, you've got the steering wheel here. You never, ever, ever, when you're driving a car, look over at your bonnet. You never, ever, only when you're stopping, really, or you know, there's a bit of concern. You look ahead of you where you're going to, and that is exactly the same on a motocross bike or on an enduro bike. That's a good tip for you guys. Another tip is with tabletops or jumps. Roll, you know, they're called roll-offs or roll-ons. You can before you hit them, roll over them, see what they're like, check out the landing, watch other riders, watch how they're hitting the jump, you know, make sure you're into the right gear. You don't want to hit the top of the tabletop and then pin your throttle. You don't want to do that. What you need to do is keep your throttle at steady pace or pin it, however you want to keep the throttle. Don't blip your throttle at the top of a tabletop because what that'll do is it'll flip you and your bike will go straight over. Because when you open the accelerator up, it spins the back wheel, carries momentum, and that will tip you over. So basically what you've got to do is hit that jump and try and stay at exactly the same throttle. Yeah? And then, you know, when you know you've landed, you're going to land a jump, hit your throttle, go on your throttle, because when you land it, when you jump it, you don't want to hit it rolling, like with your back wheel still type of thing. You want to hit it on the throttle so that when you land, you're straight off, like you're off straight away. Sorry about the noises, I ain't too good with noises, but you get what I'm saying, guys, don't you? But yeah, very good tip for anyone that's starting out motocross is don't be scared. If you're scared of the sport and you're scared of the track, that tells me straight away that you're going to have an accident. You've got to go out there with confidence. It's not about being worried, it's about having fun. Another tip I'm going to give to anyone that wants to take it is it's about you having fun on that bike. It's not about competing with other people unless you're in a race. If you're just going out for fun, like I ride for fun basically. So when I go out, you know, there's a lot faster riders than me, and there's also a few slower riders than me. I don't concentrate on them riders. You know, I don't watch them riders. I'm riding my own pace. I'm having my own fun. And, you know, this is my time now on the bike. And if I want to ride fast, I'll ride fast. But don't try and compete, you know, with the bloke in front of you who's very, very fast, because he might have been doing it for years and years and years. And he will know that track like the back of his hand, you know, or he will know the bike. He will know the technical bits. So ride it at your own pace. Don't feel like you're under any obligation to ride fast. You know, that comes with experience, and the more you get out on your bike, obviously the more confidence you'll get, and that's my story too. You know, I've been out of when I had the KX250, say 2.5 years ago, I've probably been out on it around, let's say, 20 times. Now, for the first 3 or 4 rides when I went to motocross tracks, I was very, very dubious. I was a little bit worried. I was a little bit concerned because I see the other riders who were really going fast, and I thought I might be like slowing them down or anything like that. But you know, over the space of a few months, when I started getting out more, I started to realise it's not about them. You know, don't worry about other people. It's about you. It's about your time. It's about you having fun on that bike. But I'm going to leave this one here, guys, because we're 25 minutes into this, and I'm going to get it uploaded with my new intro on. So once again, thank you very much, Pablo. And thank you, every one of my followers. Thank you for all your positive feedback. I hope I'm inspiring you guys. And, you know, I'm a prime example that if you want to change, you can change. It's you what's got to make that decision. You know, I was once a horrible person, as I said earlier back in the video. But now I'm a type of person where everyone wants to be around me. I've got so much knowledge. And as I've got older, I've also learned to have patience. I'll stop and I'll think about the consequences of my actions. Years ago, I didn't do that. I've learned that with age. I've learned that with my own experiences, and it's helping me. It's pulling me through, guys. Whatever you're doing, stay safe. Have a great day. Thanks for watching me. Peace.